Create a positive cycle of dopamine. You will become someone who is not able to fail. Dopamine is the hormone most commonly discussed in self-development books and videos. Why does everyone talk about dopamine? To put it simply, dopamine is the hormone of pleasure and happiness. When dopamine is released, we feel good. When it's not released enough, life becomes tough. What would happen if we could control dopamine at will? We'd be happier, and our life satisfaction would improve. Learning to control dopamine can truly change your life. If we could release dopamine while striving for success, the process itself would become enjoyable. And when we enjoy our work, we're motivated to keep putting in the effort. In conclusion, if we can trigger dopamine in everything we do, we can increase our chances of success. By harnessing dopamine, we can achieve both success and happiness at the same time. This is why dopamine is one of the most important hormones for humans. Can you actually control dopamine? Yes, you can. Today, I'll share 7 steps to help you control dopamine. The content of this video is inspired by the book by Shion Kabasawa. So how can we release dopamine? Let me give you the key takeaway first. There are many ways to release dopamine, but some are unhealthy and unsustainable, if you know what I mean. There is one sure way to release dopamine naturally, achieving your goals. When you experience a sense of accomplishment from completing something, dopamine is released and you feel happy. Interestingly, dopamine isn't just released when you achieve a goal. It's also released when you set a goal. So to sum it up, the trick to releasing dopamine is simple. Set and achieve your goals. Now you can see why athletes get addicted to winning gold medals at the Olympics. The extreme happiness they feel comes from the massive dopamine rush when they succeed. Set your goals and achieve them. However, what many people don't realize is how to set those goals effectively. The first step to controlling dopamine is to set a clear goal. This is both the most obvious and the most important point. To succeed at anything, you need a goal. But there is a catch. Dopamine is released when you set a clear goal and actively work toward it. Here's the key. The goal must be your own. And it must be specific. For example, I will run. It's not a clear goal. I will run every day at 6 a.m. in Central Park for 30 minutes is a clear goal. Dopamine won't be released if you are forced to pursue someone else's goal. A lot of people ask, what should I do to succeed? It's a strange question, don't you think? People generally don't like others meddling in their lives. Yet, they'll turn around and ask someone else the most important question about their life. If someone told you to do something you didn't want to do, you'd probably say, mind your own business, right? Sure, advice can be helpful sometimes, but the goals for your life should come from you and you alone. If you work toward a goal someone else sets for you, you won't feel motivated, and when things get tough, you'll want to quit. Setting a clear goal for yourself isn't as easy as it sounds, but that's okay. Take your time. It's the most important thing in your life. You might not know how to achieve the goal right away, and that's fine. It's still better than wasting your life chasing someone else's dream. You might feel lost at first, but once you figure it out, that's when the dopamine kicks in. Remember this quote, a man wonders as long as he strives. Your goal has to be clear, Vague goals like financial freedom or becoming a billionaire aren't specific enough. If a goal is too broad, it's hard to create an action plan to achieve it. A clear goal comes with a plan you can act on. By completing those small steps, dopamine keeps flowing. If your goal is too massive, you won't get those dopamine rewards until you reach the finish line, which makes it harder to stay motivated. This is where SMART goals come in. A SMART goal is specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-bound. Financial freedom isn't a SMART goal. Here's an example of one. By the end of 2025, I will earn $100,000 in side income on top of my salary. To do this, I'll upload at least 3 YouTube videos per week. It's great to dream big, but if you can't see a concrete action plan, that dream is just a fantasy. Focus on achieving small, actionable steps and let the dopamine keep flowing. You can succeed while enjoying your work every day. Replace your ultimate goal with smaller goals you can tackle in weeks or months. As I mentioned earlier, even the act of setting goals releases dopamine. The second step is to vividly imagine yourself achieving your goal. Your brain can't tell the difference between imagination and reality. Top athletes use image training all the time. They never picture themselves losing, and it works. Image training is proven to be highly effective. These athletes always emphasize the power of mentality. Imagining yourself achieving your goal has a similar effect to their image training. Your brain releases dopamine as if you're already succeeded. That's right. You can trigger dopamine just by picturing it. But there is one more important condition. Your imagination has to be vivid. For example, saying I'm a billionaire living a great life isn't imagination. It's delusion. Let's say your goal is to become a best-selling author. Picture the title, design, and layout of your book. Visualize it sitting on the bestseller shelf in a bookstore. Imagine the money hitting your bank account as your book flies off the shelves. See your friends and family congratulating you at your book launch event. Feel the temperature of the room and soak in the atmosphere of that moment. The clearer and more detailed your visualization, the more dopamine your brain will release. The third step is to review your goals. You need to keep your goals visible and check in on them regularly. There are tons of ways to do this, but one thing all successful people have in common is that they remind themselves of their goals in some way. It's a habit you'll notice among the most accomplished people. They visualize their goals daily or write them down in a notebook. Does simply looking at your goals over and over really make a difference? Yes, it absolutely does. Humans are forgetful by nature. We set a goal, and then it slips our minds just as fast. But here's the magic. When you revisit your goals right as you're about to forget them, it's like setting them all over again. That triggers a dopamine release, lifts your mood, and keeps you pushing towards success. So find a way to keep your goals in front of you. There is no wrong approach here. Personally, I write my goals on my fridge. This video can work for you too. Write your dreams in the comments, save this video, and whenever your motivation starts to fade, come back and rewatch it and read what you wrote. The key is this. Reviewing your goals releases dopamine. The fourth step is to execute joyfully. You can make all the plans in the world, but nothing changes until you take action. Setting goals without acting on them, it's meaningless. Taking action is a million times more important than planning. But here's the catch. You've got to execute joyfully. After all, we are all chasing a happy life, right? If the process of pursuing happiness feels miserable, will we really stick with it? The moment we achieve a goal is fleeting, but the journey to get there, that's the long suffering. So we've got to enjoy the ride. People often say success comes from enduring hardship. But what if we shift our perspective just a little? We can turn that journey into something enjoyable. Psychologist William James said, behavior and emotion happen at the same time. Here's what that means. Humans can control their actions with willpower. And guess what? We can control our emotions too. Not feeling happy? Act happy anyway. Speak positive words. Things feel tough because we believe they are tough. But if we decide an activity is fun, it starts to feel fun. Try this. Erase the word difficult from your vocabulary. At first, it might feel forced because your actions and emotions won't align. But keep acting and speaking positively, and soon you'll feel that happiness creep in. Change your facial expression. Smile, even if you're faking it. It's going to lift your mood. Remember, behavior and emotion occur at the same time. The fifth step is to reward yourself when you achieve a goal. Dopamine flows when you set and achieve goals. So make that moment of success mean something big. Think about NBA championship teams. They celebrate their victories in a huge way, and that triggers a massive dopamine rush. Their brains lock in that winning moment like a core memory. And guess what? It drives them to chase that same dopamine high the next year. If you don't reward yourself enough when you hit a goal, your brain stops craving that achievement. No reward, no dopamine. So when you succeed, celebrate it, throw a party, treat yourself to something delicious, and soak in that reward. Reliving that moment will fire you up to set new goals and crush them again. Create a positive cycle of dopamine. You will become someone who is not able to fail. The sixth step is to set a higher goal right after achieving one. Success isn't a one and done deal. To reach ultimate success, you've got to stack up a series of wins. But if you stop after a small achievement, that dopamine flow dries up. Even if you keep hitting the same level of results, your brain gets bored. When that happens, dopamine stops flowing and your motivation and satisfaction get dull. How to fix it? Set a higher goal immediately. Are successful people obsessed with money? Nope. They are hooked on that positive dopamine rush. They cannot stop, and that's what keeps them going. The last step is simple. Repeat steps 1 through 6. Life is full of challenges you'll need to tackle. Money, health, relationship, and family. Here's the truth. Life is just a series of problems, so embrace it. The final step to success is to keep achieving new goals and enrich your life. Let me summarize it. If we understand how to control dopamine, we can use it to create success. Dopamine gets released when we set and achieve goals. Set clear goals and visualize them. Keep imagining your goals and visualize success. Shift your mindset to enjoy the process. Create a positive cycle of dopamine and keep repeating it. Success isn't about grinding for 20 years to get there. It's about climbing the steps one at a time and enjoying every moment along the way. Achieve small goals, release that dopamine hit, and then aim bigger. Once you get this, your success is practically guaranteed. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like for more contents like this.